Alright, well, yet again, putting things off forever. But, first of all, it's snowing outside. I don't know if you can see through here. But it is, in fact, snowing outside. Second of all, let's talk about punctuality. When you say that you're going to be somewhere, you should be there at the time that you said. Now, I know a lot of people say with parties, like, roll through a little late. Actually, with parties, I'd say you usually want to be somewhere about an hour after the designated start time. Because if you show up too early, it's like people usually say times like assuming that people are going to be late. So often you'll show up and they're not quite done preparing and whatever. Or you can catch people in trying to shower. Sometimes it's like a form of kindness. And it's nice to kind of be kind on yourself, not be ruthless. But especially if it's like a shoot or any kind of work, even if it's creative work, it's not cool to roll through an hour after the start time because people are waiting on you. So come at the time that you said. And then a big trick, if you want to know how to make sure that you're there at the time that you said, is give yourself an extra half an hour. Because that way, even if something does come up, you're fine. Worst case, you have half an hour and you can, listen to some music. And then one thing that I find interesting, and I used to do this too, is you'll be late, and then out of recompense, you'll run as hard as you can. And I'm biking, and I'm sweating, I'm just dripping sweat. I'm working so hard to do my best to be as unlate as possible. But it's I'm already late because I already set a bad time, or I didn't leave when I knew I needed to leave. Leave early, leave a little bit early. And then you get there a bit early, worst thing, you walk around the block an extra time and listen to a fun song, like Jogging by Richard Dawson. That's a good song. Or Sleep Together by Porcupine Tree. Or yeah. Anyway. Because it's frustrating when you have people and you have to assume that they're going to be late, but then maybe they're not, but they probably are, and then you can't. It's it's so hard to plan around that. And it kind of wastes everyone's time. Because you can't just say, the truth. I'm going to fix this. Okay, there we go. Oops. See? Guess I flipped it around. Okay, now I'm going to give you a quick rundown. Gear rundown. King Bob gear rundown. This is my guitar. It's a Reverend. It has 2 humbuckers and this lace sensor. It also has this bass tone knob, which I usually turn all the way up. Then we got Dynacomp. That's for sustain, if you want sustain. Tuner. And then, whatever. And then the tuner goes into the first stage of the noise suppressor. And then the second stage goes into this Digitech, which I mostly use for the 2-octave up. And they go, wow, wow. But I also like these detunes. The detune's nice. I mean, honestly, the whole thing's cool. I love it. Classic Tom Morello tones. And then this goes into this bit crusher I got. And this is a cheap, this thing costs $50. It's this tiny little pedal. I don't even know if this whole, might have been less than 50. It's nothing. It costs nothing. It's this tiny little adorable pedal, but it adds, it's cool. A little piece of bubble gum in the middle. And then it's a bit crusher, so it kind of adds an interesting style of a distorted type sound without it being really just. What's that? Did I have the boost off this whole time? Well, now it's on. And then we got this Crybaby. Crybaby's good for lots of stuff. I just got that. And then that goes into the Tube Screamer. which, as you can see, I have the drive all the way down, and I really just use it as a sort of warming pedal. It like beefs up the mids. Then that goes into the second stage of the noise suppressor. So that means with the 2-stage noise suppression, that way, if I like stop playing guitar, it'll silence the whole rig, even if there's like distortion or whatever. So it gives a lot of volume control. And the chromatic tuner, one secret mode of that is you can always use it as a sort of like kill switch, which is good to have. And then that goes in, and then the noise suppressor goes into the amplifier, which is a very high gain, great machine. And then the effects loop from that goes into this afterneath, which is a like a bunch of, it's technically I guess like a bunch of delays, but it sounds like a reverb. But one cool thing is you can like kind of turn up some of the settings. You like turn the reflect up and the length and maybe the mix a little bit, and then you can use, and then it'll start to self oscillate, and you can use the drag to change the pitch. And that's how I did my bop pop. That like middle section was all that and the big crusher. So stop showing up late to the fucking shoots, or even just in general. Just like tell me the time you're gonna be there, roundabout. You know, if it's one thing if we're like hanging out, but if we're gonna try to get work done, I'm trying to plan. If I'm trying to plan around you,